Yo, 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 yo. Pronounce it like the letter, I don't say it at all. It's your boy S, and this is Barz Wrestling Media. Make sure you like, share, subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell for more content. Coming up next, Andrade's contract. Man, the verbiage in this joint is crazy. This is what I'm going to tell you. And this is what I read. We're going to talk about it coming up next. We back. Make sure you like, share, subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell for more content. So as you see on your screen here, Andrade is not in AEW at the moment. Technically, he's still under WWE contracting. That's what they're saying. Big shout out to Dedrian from City of Wrestling. Big discussion on his live earlier today, and we talked about it. And there's a lot of verbiage in this contract or wording that was used that if you're not paying attention and you're one of those type of people that just pay attention to numbers, you might be confused. So before we get into all that, I want to read to you exactly what was said in this report right here in front of us. So it says Tony Khan comments on Andrade's AEW WWE status after a non-complete report emerges. So let's go. It says right here, the ongoing saga with Andrade El Idolo. AEW contract status continues to evolve, and we now have official comment from AEW's side of the situation. Says Andrade returned to AEW earlier this month following his sudden WWE release, which was related to wellness policy violation. He was set up to be in a program with Kenny Omega. Y'all remember that? We talked about it on Ring Ropes and Turnbuckle. Joining the Don Callis family in the process. Okay. It says, however, it's very possible that the fans do not see Andrade for some time. The takedown on SI noted. Okay, so this is the site that's talking about what's going on with Andrade's contract. They're saying the name is the takedown. So the takedown SI noted earlier that Andrade was dealing with potential non-complete situation regarding this WWE exit. In an update reported, the Wrestling Observer states that TKO has 1 year non-complete clause that triggered when talent is fired for a cause or breach of contract. It is believed that this could be the situation of Andrade's current dealing. All right, there's more, folks. The 35-year-old was set to begin his second tenure with the company after leaving AEW initially at the end of 2023. He returned to WWE at the Royal Rumble in 2024 and had his final match with the company at SummerSlam in a TLC match teaming with Rey Fenix. Tony Khan comments on Andrade's situation. The AEW founder Tony Khan led a conference call on Thursday afternoon to talk about the upcoming AEW Wrestle Dream pay-per-view, and the takedown on SI was offered the first question. Khan was asked about where Andrade's situation currently stands. So he says here, well, I would echo segments and had said at AEW World's End 2023 when Andrade initially left a few years ago, and I would say that I have a ton of respect for Andrade El Idolo. I think he's an amazing wrestler, and I think that when he left in 2023, it was a very high note, Khan said. Just reiterated everything I said at his departure of a few years ago, and I still feel that way. And I think Andrade is a great wrestler, and I'm excited to see what's next for him, and I will leave it at that. Khan offered to take down SI a follow-up question, which was used to ask directly whether or not Andrade was under AEW contract currently, and if the company was aware of the potential non-compete clause. So, basically, let me just paraphrase, because it's a lot more. So basically, what is being said is that no one knew about what was going on with Andrade. No one knew. No one knew. It's new to everybody. Now, I think what made the confusion here was the fact that they said he was fired. So here's the thing, right? If a job fires you, terminated, get rid of, out of here. If they fire you, right, doesn't that necessarily mean you could go wherever the heck you want to go? Since when do I get fired from a job, but you still keep me under contract? Where do they do that at? Where do they do that at? Since when do you fire somebody and then you keep them under contract? If you firing them, that means you're getting rid of them, right? That means they don't work for you no more. Since when do you fire somebody and still hold them under contract for 90 days? Now, I know what some of y'all gonna say. Oh, well, WWE's been doing that. Well, I thought they got rid of that whole thing a year or two ago. So that means they're still doing that old behavior? That makes no sense. That makes no sense. You gotta look at what you're signing, folks. You have to look at what you're signing. You can't just walk up in there and see the numbers and like, oh, this is a lot of money, and then you go ahead and jump on it only to get screwed over later. You gotta look at the fine print. Now, I don't know if he looked at it or if he didn't. I don't know. But what I do know is that this is messed up. So you're gonna stop this man's way of living for 90 days. That's about a year, I believe. That's about a year or close to it or whatever. I don't know. I'm just saying that's a long time to stop somebody from eating. You know what I'm saying? Now, I don't know his situation. I'm assuming he got bread. So I'm assuming he going to be all right. But the principle behind it is that you're stopping his way of living. So just imagine, right? Just imagine if it was somebody that was making a simple salary of maybe $150,000 a year. And they worked for WWE. They making $150,000 a year. They get fired. They can't work for 90 days. Within that 90 days, they can't work. Right? They're only making $150,000 a year. They can't work within that 90 days, nor can they get paid. Imagine that. Low man on the totem pole working for WWE. I'm making $150,000 a year. I can't work for no other rival company or any other wrestling company, period, in the United States. And I'm not getting paid. Imagine that. Man. So, I mean, it's messed up. It's messed up. It is messed up. This is really messed up. I'm like, man, listen, this is bad. This is bad. Like, I don't know what else to say. Like, to me, when you get fired, that means you're done with the company. That means you can do whatever you want. But here's the kicker, though. The verbiage that's used in this is confusing, because when they say he was fired over the wellness policy, allegedly, when they said this, right, that means when you're let go, you could do whatever you want. But now they're saying, no, you can't do whatever you want because you're still with us for 90 days. And we're not paying you jack. Man, that's crazy. That is crazy. That is crazy. Yeah, that's messed up. That is messed up. That's some wild work. That is some wild work. Look, I mean, look, I don't claim to be no expert on these type of things, but I just call it like I see it. There's no way on God's green earth that if I'm a wrestler that I'm going to sign something like that. I don't care how much the money is. I'm just saying. So, I don't know how these contract negotiation works, but man, that is crazy. That is crazy. And hey, look, what else can I say? But let's continue, shall we? Because there's a lot other stuff that is entangled in this whole situation, right? There's a lot of stuff that's entangled in this. So let's look over at the tablet, shall we? Because I want to point out a few things. So right here, I'm looking at it, and I looked this up on ChatGPT. So ChatGPT is giving me the rundown of everything. So it says here, Andrade was released by WWE in September 2025. Released. Let go. Out of here. Right? It says WWE claims that he is subjected to a 90-day non-complete clause, even though he was released without pay. It says WWE apparently sent AEW a legal notice, cease and desist, over using Andrade on AEW programming. Some reports initially said Andrade's release did not come with a non-compete, but WWE later asserted it and did. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't hear nothing said about a non-complete clause when they released him, when they fired him. I didn't hear nothing that was said. Usually, whenever they release somebody, you usually hear right after that, oh yeah, he can't compete for 90 days. So what? So what were they assuming that everybody knew? Assuming that everybody knew? Is that what it is? Is that what it is? Or is WWE being spiteful? Is WWE being spiteful? Let's just say that he appeared in another promotion. Would WWE have felt the same way? If he had appeared in MLW, would WWE have felt the same way? If he had appeared in Ring of GCW, House of Glory, I'm not going to say Ring of Honor. I was getting ready to say Ring of Honor, but Ring of Honor is still AEW. But if he had appeared in any of these promotions, would WWE have been boop, 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 throwing shots at him like this? Would he have been doing that? Hey, I don't know. I don't know. The funny thing is, right, within this whole time frame, right, he went to Mexico. He won the Crash heavyweight title, which I told you he did that. He won the Crash heavyweight title. So now he's the Crash heavyweight champion. I don't know. Maybe they might strip him of that title now because he can't do nothing. But technically, he should be able to because that's in Mexico, right? That's in Mexico, right? He should be able to because that's in Mexico. This is bad. This is bad. You know. So everybody in here is basically saying the same thing. No one on here is really saying anything different. The funny thing about it is that, right, the wording, that's the most funniest thing in this whole thing is the wording. The wording is the most funniest thing because really no one really knows how they got this off. You fired me. You didn't mention nothing about non-compete. Usually, that's the first thing that you say, non-compete. I can't compete. And then all of a sudden, you pull the non-compete clause out. So I'm just wondering, right? If he had showed up somewhere else, would they have acted the same way? I'm just wondering that. But here's a funny thing though, right? So I'm assuming, or maybe I'm wrong, but I'm assuming this is just for the United States. That's what I'm assuming, right? So what if he decides to go to New Japan or DDT or Pro Wrestling Noah or All Japan and compete? Would this clause still be in effect? That's what I want to know. Would this still be in effect? That's what I want to know. Would it still be in effect? Listen. That's crazy work. That's crazy work. That's crazy work. But hey, man. Hey, you know, we'll try to keep tabs on this whole thing as much as we can. We'll try to keep tabs on it as much as we can over here. I plan to go into more detail with this on Ring Ropes and Turnbuckle with the homie Dub. And we could just speak on this a little bit further. But yeah, man, this is wild. This is wild, man. I hope Andrade's lawyered up. I hope he's lawyered up. I hope he got all the lawyers he can, because he going to need them for this. He definitely going to need the lawyers for this. Yeah. Anyway, tonight we are interviewing on Ring Ropes and Turnbuckle Podcast. We'll be right back over here on Facebook and on YouTube interviewing the remarkable Ryan Rembrandt. That's right. The understudy to the All-Father, Darius Carter. We'll be interviewing him tonight. Tomorrow, we'll be interviewing NWA Zone. Psycho Boy Father will be in the building with us tomorrow. So, we busy. We busy up in here. Next week, we got a big one for y'all. We'll talk more about that later. But other than that, it's your boy, Barz Wrestling Media, and I'll be back with another one. Salute. Come on!